Whether you've got a puppy, here's one I kind of prepared earlier, or a young adult dog, or even a senior dog, every dog needs to learn to be toilet trained. It comes from us. And the best way to do that is through positive reinforcement. Now, you've got to remember, for a lot of young puppies, they don't physically have the ability to hold on. They don't have those sphincter muscles developed yet. So that's one of the many reasons why it's so important not to punish your puppy or your dog if they do have an accident inside. If they do that, it's no big deal. It happens to every single puppy that anyone's ever met throughout the history of time. Let's move forward and keep things really positive. As your dog gets older and they're still having trouble going outside and they're still having accidents on the inside of your home, it may be because of an underlying disease. So it's always important to have a chat with your vet if your dog is still struggling, and never punish your dog for making a mistake. Remember, dogs do everything they do for a reason, and it's important for us to listen to what they're trying to say. So, never punish your dog for doing a wee or a poo inside. Just learn why they've done it and what you can do better next time to be their advocate. What often happens is people who have the old school method where they say rub the dog's nose in it, or tell them no, or raise a newspaper at them, all that kind of approach of training only sets a dog up to think that when you're not looking and they go over in that direction and you can't see what they're doing, that's when they do it. So they do it behind your back, they go and hide, and they become more and more anxious, which can actually lead to anxiety problems and more difficulty toilet training them in the future. So how do we set our puppies or our older dogs or our rescue dogs up for success? Well, if you cannot supervise your puppy inside all the time, which let's face it, you probably can't, make sure you have a puppy pen so that you can pop them in there. It's a really positive, safe space where they go in there when you've got to go to the toilet or have a shower or make a quick phone call. If you want to be able to take your puppy around with you in the house, if you're doing some washing or you're doing a little bit of work, whatever it is, and you don't want to put them in a puppy pen, what you can do is pop the harness on them and a lead and take them around with you. That way, you're able to observe their behavior all the time and take them outside before they actually have the accident. Puppies will particularly indicate they need to go to the toilet on the hour, or every half hour, through a whole range of different behaviors. The first one might be when they've just woken up, so they might need to eliminate that. When you see them sniffing around a certain area, they probably are about to do a wee or a poo. When they've just eaten, when they just had a drink, when they're quite stimulated and they're really excited, these are the times we tend to see our puppies want to go to the toilet. So whenever you see those signs, listen and act and set them up for success. Always remove access to spaces that you do not want your dog to go into. So if you know that they typically will have an accident on carpet, don't allow them to have access to spaces where there is carpet. I know that sounds like it might be a bit tricky, but it's really, really important that you choose the right environment. And some dogs will develop what we call substrate preferences. That might be carpet or grass or tiles or puppy pads, and that's where they tend to want to go. So when you do bring your dog home, it's really, really valuable to teach them what type of surface you want them to wee and poo on. That's why I'm not a huge fan of trainee pads. I actually prefer more natural choices where, regular real grass is a great example of if you're in an apartment or a townhouse or you don't have a lot of space outside, you can use natural grasses. That's right, isn't it, buddy? That way, when you are going on a walk, you'll be able to take your dog onto somewhere where there's grass, if that makes sense. So always think about the substrate that you're teaching your dog to wee and poo on. Also remember, male dogs that have not been desexed will typically lift their leg inside either your house or other people's houses. It's very, very common, and you'll find that if you desex your male dog at the appropriate age of desexing, that behaviour will completely go away. As your dog gets older, they may have trouble finding the doggy door or remembering where to locate the door to go outside. And part of cognitive decline can be your dog just struggling to figure out how to go to the toilet properly. So once again, we never punish a dog for having an accident inside. There's always a reason why they do it. Either they haven't been trained properly, they have an underlying disease, or they may have an anxiety disorder. So sometimes dogs that will lift their leg inside or urinate inside, it's because they're struggling to deal with this big old wide world and they're trying to let you know how they feel. And remember, if you are struggling, there's always help at hand. You can always reach out to me. through knose.com.au, you can have a chat with your vet because they will be able to do a full examination to make sure that your puppy or your dog is in tip-top health. And get the support from friends as well. Lots of people are really into dog training. It's a wonderful thing to do. It's incredibly rewarding. And it's very similar to this whole training thing too. Started to get the hang of this one as well.